storage loft. The heavy metal door slammed behind us as we stepped out into the darkened street and turned to face each other. The bouncer stared at us, possibly wondering if we were old enough to be here, then seemed to decide not to comment. Good choice. He smelled like a beta. Taking on 4 alphas wasn't a good idea, even if he was at least 10 years older than us. "What now?" Killian asked. He was practically buzzing with pent-up energy, his curly hair bouncing as he spoke. "Parking lot," Ares replied vaguely, setting off around the side of the building and expecting that we would just follow him. Of course we did, so he wasn't wrong. There weren't many cars in the tiny lot. Our beat-up Impala was one of only 5 or 6. Ares scanned the stolen key fob, then popped the trunk of a newish-looking Nissan. My eyebrows rose as we peered inside. A dozen cardboard boxes sat stacked on top of each other. The top row was open slightly, displaying the product inside. I reached into one of the cardboard boxes and pulled out a vial, turning it over between my fingers. It smelled sickly sweet, like fruit and honey. Euphoria and lust, but manufactured. "Fuck," Killian said, his eyes growing wide. "That's more than I expected." "Yeah," I agreed, not knowing what else to say. The vials contained alpha and omega pheromones, sold to betas as party drugs. Betas couldn't usually sense things like that, but when they were concentrated like this, I guess they had some sort of temporary effect. This shipment belonged to the gang Alpha Lupi, but had gotten mysteriously lost in transit when the beta that Ares knocked out in the alley decided he could take a cut for himself. "Come on, let's take it and go. I want to do this fast and go home," Ares said harshly. I rolled my eyes at him. No shit, we all wanted to go home and see Bliss. It didn't really need to be said. Bliss was the only reason we did this shit anyway, and she didn't even know it. "It's my turn," I said quietly as we strode across the grass toward the house. I hid my smile at the idea of getting to go upstairs to Bliss's room instead of ours. Killian punched me lightly on the shoulder. "I'll trade you tonight for Saturday." "Fuck no, 'cause on Saturday you'll forget and say it's your turn. I know how this goes." He laughed. "Whatever, man, worth a try." "Quiet, both of you," Ares hissed, stopping short several paces from the front porch. The hair on the back of my neck stood up as I listened for whatever sound had set him off. "I don't hear anything." "Fine, must be nothing. But be quiet. Don't wake up the wards," he snapped. Dropping off the pheromones at the Alpha Lupi warehouse had taken longer than any of us would have liked, and we were cutting it way too close to curfew. The couple who ran our group home was already trying to get rid of us, and we didn't need to give them any more ammunition. At the top of the stairs, the guys headed toward our room, while I hovered in front of Bliss's door. Her room had a peeling plaque on it reading "Girls" in faded gold lettering. Sometimes she had up to 3 roommates in there, but right now it was just her. I slipped inside and shut the door quietly behind me, leaning against it for a moment and listening for any footsteps in the hallway. "I heard Mr. and Mrs. Ward go to bed an hour ago," came Bliss's quiet voice. My gaze snapped to hers. She lay on her back in the middle of her bed, staring up at the ceiling. Or rather, at the roof of the blanket tent she'd hung around her bed. She wore nothing but an oversized t-shirt and mismatched socks, and her blonde and purple hair fanned out across the comforter like a halo. I swallowed thickly. "Yeah? Good. We were kinda loud in the yard." She snorted a laugh and sat up. "You think? I could hear you guys through the window. You should be more careful." I crossed the distance between us and slipped off my shoes and t-shirt before climbing onto the bed beside her. "Yeah, I know." "What did you do tonight anyway?" I ran a hand through my dark hair, unsure if I should give her any details. Ares and Nox were pretty adamant that we keep Bliss out of what we were doing with the Alpha Lupi, and I tended to agree with them. "Just work," she huffed, rolling her eyes. "You're the worst." I leaned over and threw an arm over her waist.